Live from Studio A and inside the Sugar Shack Control Center, it's the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, we talk with the COO of a company called Cerebrum X. It sounds like a television show, a mystery.
Science fiction type
We're going to find out about it. Jeff has a segment on funny and odd car names. Conrad has the racing calendar and the car clinic. And we'll also have the stories making automotive news headlines this week. We're going to shove it all into this hour of the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Howdy and good morning. Along with Mike out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Hey, thanks so much for joining us today. Okay, we're going to get right to it.
All right, here we go.
He's joining us now, Sumit Chauhan. Did I pronounce your name right? I hope.
Absolutely right. This is Sumit.
Sumit, got it. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And
very happy to join you.
Instead of me trying to bumble and mumble and stumble my way through telling everybody what it is that Cerebrum X does, I'm going to let you do that. Sumit is the Chief Operating Officer and co-founder of Cerebrum X Labs. So tell us exactly what it is that you guys do.
First of all, thank you, for having me here on this Saturday morning. And it's a pleasure to be speaking to all of you and the audience.
Yes.
Cerebrum X is no longer, in any clandestine mode. So I can say that, we were under the wraps when we were building up our tech now. But, we are close to Series B, so no longer. So I can be absolutely candid with you as to what we do.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
What we really do is that, as you know, more and more cars are connected on the road. I heard, some of the data points that you were throwing out, particularly on the EV side. What that also means is because all these cars are connected and there is electrification happening, there is autonomous driving happening, there are a lot more data points that are being collected on each of the car, which means that the OEMs are spending not just monies in terms of collecting this data, analyzing this data, storing this data, but also on the connectivity to get it out of the car. It will only make sense when somebody comes in and helps monetizing this data and making it legible and eligible to be used by verticals like insurance, fleet, and smart mobility, people who give extended warranties, so on and so forth.
And let me just interrupt here by saying that I believe that, this is going to be the next step in what we used to refer to as telematics in fleets mainly.
Big Brother's watching.
Well, that and the fact that, big over-the-road companies, that's how they've kept up with their vehicles, where they are, what speed they're going, and all this sort of thing. Am I correct? This is the next step.
That is exactly correct. And, on the Big Brother point, that's also a valid discussion to be had in terms of what we see on GDPR. Particularly in the European countries. I think we are lucky that we are in North America and people are more sensible from a business point of view here. And they understand that it cannot be, everything under the government control, so on and so forth. And it has to be clearly indicated that the end data belongs to the end user. But that aside, you're absolutely right. This is the next step in the evolution of telematics. And how do we actually analyze and use that data to make sense, since we are talking fleet here, for the fleet operators and the fleet owners, how does it make sense to deliver that data to them in a legible manner and in a usable manner, which is effective, particularly in terms of things like driver safety, in terms of route optimization, in terms of total cost of ownership reduction for the fleet owners. So that's exactly what we do. We stand in the middle. Sorry.
Well, I'm just going to say, what is it specifically that the owners, operators of these large fleets get out of the data other than speed and where they are? What is it that they use? Why are they so interested and have to have this information?
Of course. So how I would, portray this question and answer this question is, if you look at fleet owners, they need to look at three things to optimize their operations, right? One is the vehicle itself, the set of vehicles that they're managing. Second is the driver. And the third is all the logistics and route optimization that you can do around it, right? So let's take each one of them step by step. When it comes to driver, I think the most essential part is the driver safety and driver training. how do I ensure that my drivers are safe at all the time so that it reduces, any liabilities on me and my downtime? But also, how do I train my drivers to be better drivers? This can only be done if I analyze how they are actually driving, what is their driver behavior. I take into account things like acceleration, deacceleration, cornering, feeds from the dash cam, because this is a fleet operation. This is not a personal car. So I can monitor the drivers in terms of excessive drinking while driving, excessive talking on the phone, picking up strangers, on the road, so on and so forth. Once I've analyzed this either in real time or offline, I can create very targeted training modules at a driver level, which will help their efficiency and in terms of making them better drivers, which not just helps in terms of, as I said, liabilities, but it also delivers another, I would say, avenue to the fleet operators to go back to the insurers and reduce the insurance premiums if they have all this data in terms of training modules for the drivers.
Well,
so that's from a driver.
I will tell you that the first thing that comes to mind are delivery vehicles, UPS, Amazon, FedEx, locally. Then there's the over-the-roads, and those companies all have over-the-road vehicles as well, kind of like two different categories there. And I guess that's basically what you're addressing here, are you not?
That's correct. That's correct. That's absolutely correct. And I'll give you another example, which I think portrays everything that we are talking about. This is a real life example. So one of our customers, had a fleet they were servicing. One of the trucks for the fleet, the vehicle cost and the payload included was loaded with about 200,000 worth of goods and the vehicle cost itself. The driver parked it in front of an eatery and forgot his keys inside. Somebody who was passing by saw it as a good opportunity, got inside the cabin of the truck and took off. There was a webcam which was installed inside the vehicle, which obviously had a mic as well, and it was announced to the driver that you are being monitored. Please stop. The guy was rampant. He basically unplugged the webcam as soon as he realized that there is a webcam inside. He unplugged it. But still, the vehicle was a high-end vehicle. It was fully connected. We were able to, in real time, track where the vehicle is and inform the authorities, so on and so forth. And in real time, police was called on, and within half an hour, the whole vehicle and everything was recovered. So that's a classic example of how to reduce, both, I would say, increase the safety of the vehicle and the driver, but also to reduce the total cost of ownership from the the fleet owner's point of view. Coming back to what I was saying earlier, I mentioned about the driver. From a vehicle point of view, we can do things like predictive maintenance. So we track about 300 parameters on a per vehicle basis per second.
Wow.
What that means is, everything from battery levels to tire pressures to oil levels and
the
so
clutch
on
is slipping, and we're losing mileage because the clutch is slipping.
That's right. So, all these things put together and being analyzed in real time would enable the fleet owners to either in real time or offline assess what is the maintenance needs for this vehicle and when does it need to go into a shop.
So how is your system different than, say, for instance, a consumer level product
like OnStar?
That's
GM's OnStar does a lot of vehicle monitoring, and that data goes back to General Motors endlessly. If the car pops a diagnostic trouble code, and a notice is sent to General Motors, and they'll end up sending an email to the customer. They send emails to customers with recommended maintenance based on time, mileage, and usage. So
that's absolutely right.
You talked about monetizing this for the manufacturers. How could GM monetize their OnStar data?
Right. So we're currently working with 4 of the top OEMs in North America, being Toyota, Nissan, Ford, and Stellantis. GM is under discussion as we speak. And as you might appreciate, what generally happens is the OEMs will try and work directly with some of the top tier fleet operators, maybe like, let's say, Hertz or let's say Uber and so on and so forth. But the tier 2 operators will have a challenge because the integration that is required at a data level, this is a cloud to cloud integration, which is required to take this data in real time from the OEM cloud, which is OnStar, and then start analyzing it in their cloud is a big deal. Not all of the tier 2, tier 3 operators, which are fleet operators, will have the capability, the know-how, as well as the cost to create those systems. This is where we come in. We are in between as a data management platform. We have a single feed coming in from all the OEMs. We store this data on our cloud, and then based on the subscription that we have from the fleet operators, we would enable this to the fleet operators. So that's one advantage that the OEMs have, because they don't have to do integration with each fleet operator again and again. They only have to do it once with us. And the fleet operators have to do it only once with us as well.
Sumit,
the second,
hold on just a minute here. I want to ask you, with all of this stuff that you've got going on, how in the world did you get to start Cerebrum X and bring all of this together? I mean, did this start in grade school, high school? How did you get so smart?
Dream.
I was so I wish I was smart enough or brave enough to do this after grade school. But I was actually working at Harman. Some of you might know Harman as one of the tier ones, which supplies technology on the embedded side to the OEM. So I was managing the automotive business at Harman. At another point, if you are audio fans, I was also managing the audio business for Harman, which is JBL, Harman Kardon, so on and so forth, which goes into the cars as well as on the consumer side. I hope the headphones that you're wearing are from my S12 company. Absolutely,
they are all of them.
But if they're not, you'll send us a new set, right?
Absolutely.
Mine say Kmart.
So when I was working there, and my other co-founders, we realized that while we were helping the OEMs to collect all this data on the embedded side, there was nobody who was trying to monetize this data and provide a platform to help the OEMs realize the real value of this data in terms of selling it to fleet operators. And that's where really the money is. And that's where the genesis of CerebrumX came in. And, me and the co-founders got together. This was in late 2020. When we started. So we are 2.5 years into it. We developed our own platform, which is the first in-house platform to be developed, which is the data management platform for connected vehicles. And then we approached the OEMs. We signed the contracts with them to buy data from them. And also on the sell side, signing the contracts with fleet operators, with insurers, and other verticals like smart cities, so on and so forth, to do this.
So is somewhere in the future of your program going to be vehicle-to-vehicle communication where, based on GPS, I know that you're 3 feet away from me, you're moving closer to me, and the vehicle's going to move over to yield space? Is that one of the things in the plan?
Yeah, so that's really the V2X technology, which would be inherent in the cars of the future, particularly from an autonomous driving point of view. The V2X inputs will come to us as part of the general feed that comes in from the OEMs, and you're absolutely right. There would be use cases that would be developed based on vehicle-to-vehicle communication, vehicle-to-pedestrian communication, as well as vehicle-to-infrastructure communication. Like, somebody who's crossing the road, there could be automatic braking, when somebody is crossing the road, even when I don't see it, because it has been relayed to me through the the V2X technology.
Yeah, I'm from New York. I just honk my horn. Get out of the way.
Yeah. If you're lucky enough to be driving there, because most of us don't really even think of driving in New York. So you're one of the lucky ones to drive in New York. But you're absolutely right. I think with the level of liabilities that are being carried, particularly on the fleet side with accidents and so on and so forth, or crashes, it's pertinent that we have every kind of information related to the driver and the car in real time to be able to analyze what's really happening and who was really responsible. And think of a scenario when there is nobody driving the car. Who is actually liable? Is it the fleet owner? Is it the OEM, which owns the technology of the self-driving car? So those are interesting questions. We are dealing with some of them on a daily basis, and hopefully we'll have answers to them as the technology evolves in the near future.
Where are you, and where is your company located?
Sure. So we are headquartered out of Detroit, where obviously most of the OEMs and our customers are.
Yep.
I'm personally based just outside of New York in New Jersey, Princeton.
Okay.
So that's where I'm based out of as part of my operations.
Well, I will tell you that this is all absolutely fascinating, and we're going to submit this interview to Mr. Mars's favorite awards categories.
Great information.
Yeah, it is.
But I have visions in my head of, you remember the movie Demolition Man?
Yeah.
Where all of a sudden, cha-ching, and the government sends you a violation because
a ticket.
Because you were traveling too fast.
And that brings up another point too, where he brought up insurance and who's liable, who's at fault, if at fault. What kind of insurance policies are going to be developed out of this as well through your state farms and your liberties and all that? Am I covered for a failure of a computer system? Am I covered for a failure of the cloud? That's all to be addressed too.
That's correct. That's absolutely right. And, these are the questions that are being dealt with by the OEMs as well. If you look into, the last few years, I won't name the OEMs here, but some of the OEMs are facing a lot of lawsuits which are related to self-parking solutions.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Because while,
Tesla.
While self-parking, those cars have hit other cars, and they are in lawsuits now to basically settle for the damages. And, my own feeling is that it might be that those liabilities will eventually mostly lie on the OEMs, because the technology, comes from the OEMs in terms of the autonomous driving or self-parking, so on and so forth. But again, there are mixtures where people, as there are 5 levels of autonomous driving. We are probably at level 3 right now, which means it's a heterogeneous environment where sometimes you have your hands on the wheel, sometimes you don't. So that's the gray area, right? How do you really define the responsibilities in that scenario? When it's completely hands off, there is no steering wheel, anymore. I think it's much clearer. But in this, I would say, twilight zone, as we approach fully autonomous driving, is when some of these issues are going to be very pertinent and interesting, to answer.
And then the Jaguar can drive itself to the shop.
Sumit, it's great to talk to you. A world of information. It is absolutely stunning what you guys are doing. How can our regular guys like us find out more information about Cerebrum X?
So thank you for the kind words. And, this is all towards the end user, to bring them the best premiums from an insurance point of view, to bring them the best benefits from a fleet management point of view. So thank you, for those kind words. And to get more information, you can go to our website, which is CerebrumX.ai. You will find all the information there that you need. There are a lot of white papers as well. I have spoken at a few forums as well, which are available online on various things, including AI and the effect of AI in the connected vehicle environment. So all of that information and those links should be available on our website.
It's beautiful. Thank you again. We really appreciate it. We'll be back in touch, and you just stay in touch with us if you got something new to tell us.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Take care. Sumit Chauhan. I got it.
Great information.
It truly is. Hey, if you'd like to get in touch with us, shoot us an email. The address info@inwheeltime.com. And the In Wheel Time race card is sponsored by Texas Nostalgia Modified Production. And racing season is getting into full-blown mode now.
And then this weekend is Route 66 Raceway for NHRA at the Gerber Collision and Glass Route 66 NHRA Nationals. NASCAR is at Darlington this weekend, and North Wilkesboro next weekend for the All-Star race. Now, NASCAR, the big Cup cars haven't been at North Wilkesboro for a while, but they're going to do the All-Star race there to determine whether or not going back to a half-mile short track like that's going to be viable in the future. What'd you think of the Miami Grand Prix?
I loved it.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought...
No, I like the IRL, the open wheel stuff.
And then also this weekend is IMSA's at Laguna Seca, and our friend of the show, Alec Udell, is going to be there driving as well. Grand Prix of Indianapolis is May 28th, and the Detroit Grand Prix is June 4th. And then the 24 Hours of Le Mans is June 11th. And I think we're going to talk a little bit later with Richard Tomlin about the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb, which is also in June. I think he's up next, which is also in June.
All right. Thank you, sir. Here's one that we've been looking forward to all week long.
Uh-oh.
It's the Jeff Zekin Funny Car Names.
These are all real. These are international names. Because I am the international correspondent, this is why I've got the coverage. But these are real. The first one we have here is called the Tata Buzzard. When we first saw the Buzzard, it was at the 2019 Geneva Auto Show. I did not attend that year, by the way. The Buzzard is a 7-seat version of a European model named the Harrier. Despite the strange moniker, both Buzzard and Harrier are rather good-looking vehicles, both inside and out. Some of the home market of India is where the Tata Buzzard is from. It's
nice,
quite popular. Meanwhile, the Harrier in Europe reminds folks of something else, the Tata Buzzard Sport. So
Lord.
there you have that.
Yeah.
The next one, and this is called a Daihatsu Applause, like the license plate there. We're going to get into another Daihatsu in just a little bit, but this silly-looking sedan is equally silly name, is actually rather clever. It looked like a sedan in profile, but it's actually a hatchback. There's a British car magazine in the early 90s that had one of these testing, and naturally they gave it a nickname. It wasn't Applause. It was called the Clap. Imagine conversations around the office. Hey,
Oh, my God, I caught the clap.
did you get the clap? Hey, the Applause was built from 1989 to 2000 when it was replaced by
Come and see that new car that I've got.
Yeah,
It's
the new car is called the Drip.
it was replaced by a Toyota Camry clone called the Altis. I knew we were going with this. I knew when I set this up.
clap.
This next one is called, and I've got all their albums in this one. It's called the Kia Bongo 3.
Yep, that's it.
Visit South Korea and you'll see traffic jams with these little utility vehicles, and its twin from Hyundai called the Porter. The Bongo 3, despite the Roman numeral, is actually the 4th generation model. The previous versions were known as Bongo Frontier, Bongo Wide, and I think that's what you nicknamed your mother-in-law. Both sit on a Mazda van platform, is also called a Bongo. It includes names like Bongo Brawny and Bongo Friendy.
Didn't Bongo do a movie with Ronald
No, that
Reagan?
was Bonzo.
That's
Bonzo
Bonzo.
or Bongo? Here we're back to a Daihatsu, and of course you can see this one if you got TV. It's the Daihatsu Naked. No surprise that the company that gave us the Clap also gave us Naked. So the Micro Mini featured exposed hinges and bolts on the exterior, and you can only imagine the problems with parts theft in a country other than Japan.
They only had one color, and that was flesh.
Well, yeah, exactly. So the Daihatsu, like Suzuki, is a gold mine of silly names. Gold mine of silly names that produce cars like the Move Latte, the Wake, the Coup.
Wait a minute. The Move Latte.
The Move
Yeah, it's when
Latte.
you drink too much Starbucks.
And then you get naked.
Is it the MOO?
No, MOVE.
Oh,
Move
okay.
Latte, the Wake, the Coup, Fellow Max, Rugger, and of course, Mike, you use this word a lot, Charade. So here we go. The next one, we're going to move on to that one. I forgot to push the button. Here we go.
It's all right.
This next one is called the Troller Pantanal. This comes from a company called Troller. That's the manufacturer. Nothing to do with your favorite activity, Conrad. Social media. The Troller is a Brazilian manufacturer, and the Pantanal is Portuguese for the word wetlands. Appropriate for an off-road pickup truck, but it sounds more like a cigar or a brand of skinny jeans to me. The Pantanal's PT Cruiser-like styling is even sillier than its name and has a backstory. The backstory is Troller built 77 of these Pantanals between 2006 and 2008. Ford bought Troller in 2007, and a year later had to buy back every single Pantanal, the 77 of them, due to cracking frames. So if you want to find out more about what Ford and Troller have been up to lately,
Go to the junkyard.
check out the TX4 SUV, and you will see that in broad daylight. Now, the last one we have here, and You can think of a lot of things like this. It's quite
that's
cute.
ugly.
This is called the Mitsubishi Topo BJ. The Topo BJ was the name of Mitsubishi's key class microvan. BJ, of course, Mike, stands for what? Big Joy. Why do you think it stood for, Michael? Mitsubishi showrooms have been a host to many fantastic nameplates over the years, including Minica Lettuce, Town Box, Town B, Mirage Dingo, Grunder, and Space Star. There you go.
Oh, my God. Well, that was too good to be true.
Well, and General Motors
That
has
was
one.
almost as good as the Hyundai handshake.
Well, that's where you get the clap. There you
Mars,
have it.
this is all your fault again.
Submit that one, big boy.
And all of this leading into Richard Tomlin.
There you go.
The In Real Time Car Talk show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In Real Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and InRealTime.com. Podcasts are at your fingertips on over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets out there, except for the Clap Network. The In Real Time Car Talk show will continue right after these brief messages. We invite you to stay tuned. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Real Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Real Time Car Talk show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Real Time Car Talk show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Real Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InRealTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Real Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel.